Ubisoft finally revealed Assassin's Creed Red today, now known as Assassin's Creed Shadows, and here is literally everything you need to know about the new game. First, let's talk about the world premiere trailer. Today, Ubisoft released the official cinematic world premiere trailer of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and though it's not specifically a gameplay trailer, it still teaches us a ton about the game. In Assassin's Creed Shadows, you will live the intertwined stories of Nai, an adept shinobi assassin from Iga province, and Yasuke, the powerful African samurai of historical legend. So instead of picking the same character as male or female, you'll be able to play as these two distinct characters who even have their own unique playstyles, but more on that later. Against the backdrop of the turbulent late Sengoku period, specifically in the 16th century during the Yasushi Momoyama era, this duo will discover their common destiny as they usher in a new era for Japan. From chaos to purpose, from darkness to light, a new creed will rise over Japan. In the trailer, we first see a target being chased by Nai. This character pulls a ninja star from his chest armor, presumably thrown by her, which likely confirms that one of the weapons available in the game is a shuriken. The character asks, "Who are you? Who do you serve?" And standing there, all menacing like, in a dope dark blue hood, we transition to a flashback where Nai provides a bit of a monologue about herself. She first says, "All I have ever known in my life, our land, our customs, my family, burns in the name of unification." In this flashback, we see a more peaceful moment in the Sengoku period, where Nai is praying with her father, Fujibayashi Nagato. Both Nai and Fujibayashi notice their village is being attacked, so Nai rushes to help. Some of the villagers are being rounded up and impaled, but Nai manages to shove one of them to the ground. She is immediately attacked and shows her combat prowess straight away. Whatever point in the timeline this is, it's clear that she already has been well trained by her father, even if she may not strictly be in the creed at this point, though I think she probably is, but more on that later. However, Nai is overwhelmed and is struck to the ground. As she looks on at her village being burned and her fellow villagers floating dead in the water, she sees a figure in the distance, donning a gold samurai armor. This looks to be Yasuke, the second playable protagonist in the game. Now this is of course very interesting, as Yasuke is clearly involved in the attack on Naue's village, which begs the question as to why he is doing this and how exactly their stories are going to intertwine in the game. Is this when they first actually meet? How do they become friends or accomplices after this event? And how will the game jump back and forth between their stories? Yasuke then begins talking by saying, quote, "You are still a frog in a well, who knows nothing of the sea. The ocean's filled with new ships, but they all come from the same river: greed, power, vengeance." This of course touches on the fact how Yasuke, likely born in Mozambique, arrived in Japan via boat in 1579. In his flashback, we see villagers at a dock by the water working, with ships in the background. Could this also confirm that ship combat is returning in Assassin's Creed Shadows, or is this just a backdrop? I'm leaning towards the latter, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Moving on, Yasuke is kneeling in front of someone who looks to be the clan's leader, as he is donning robes with the same flower symbol as the one seen on the armor of those attacking Naue's village. This is actually a real-life symbol of the Oda clan, a Japanese family of samurai daimyo. This character is confirmed by Ubisoft to be Oda Nobunaga himself, who was the foremost military leader credited with unifying medieval Japan. In Assassin's Creed fashion, I have no doubt that Nobunaga will feature in the story in some way. We then jump forward to the moment before the battle, where the samurai are ordered to attack. They are holding guns, which look to be a form of matchlock arquebus, introduced to Japan by Portuguese traders in 1543. And possibly our characters might be able to use these guns in combat as well, but this is never confirmed in the trailer directly. Yasuke is then seen emerging out of the shadow with a bunch of other samurai, attacking the shinobi defending Naue's village. This scene is incredibly bloody and hopefully is consistent with the actual combat in the game. Jumping back to the scene where Yasuke and Naue lock eyes, Naue asks, "And you, will you continue down that river or choose another path beyond what we see?" Yasuke responds, "Then we must look for it together." My guess as to what is going on here is that somehow Naue and Yasuke forget their differences and become accomplices or even friends, possibly with Naue trying to invite Yasuke into the creed itself. In the next scene, we jump to Naue walking in a crowd, receiving a note from a kneeling cloaked figure. Yasuke is waiting for her and receives the note, which I can only guess is the name of their next target. Yasuke then states, "We must learn to trust, rebuild," and in response Naue says, and follow the blade. And at this moment, you can clearly see Naoe wearing a hidden blade on her left arm. In my opinion, this all but confirms that at least she specifically is in the Assassin's Creed, or whatever form it's taking at that time. As for Yasuke, either he's just joined the Creed, or will after a mission or two, or perhaps will just remain an accomplice living a double life as a samurai within the Oda clan. We then jump to the night scene which we saw at the beginning of the trailer, and Naoe is stealthily infiltrating a castle, utilizing a grappling hook to ascend the walls. These are known as Kagenawa and were used by shinobi and samurai in Japan. The sequence which proceeds is then Naoe killing a lot of the guards protecting the castle. She utilizes throwing knives, double assassination, regular sword attacks, kicks, and the hidden blade. Though it's a cinematic trailer, this very much looks and feels like Assassin's Creed, where you have a bunch of different weapon types at your disposal. She even has equipped other weapons which she doesn't use directly in the trailer, like a Tanto blade, smoke bombs, and Kusarigama chain sickles. Yasuke also joins the fray here, appearing out of nowhere in a house and attacking the inhabitants, in a much less stealthy means. His weapon is more of a bludgeoning tool, which could be a type of kanabo, which were studded or spiked war clubs used by samurai in that period. This is awesome to see, as it also confirms we'll be able to use multiple weapon types in the game, especially as we've already seen him wield a katana. According to Jaw Raptor 2, apparently Yasuke won't have access to the grapple hook, so when playing as him, you'll need to infiltrate camps via other means. Back to Naoe, she is again asked by the assassination target, "I said, who do you serve?" Yasuke then appears behind the character and they both say to him, "We are the shadows that serve the light." This again implies to me that both Naoe and Yasuke are in the Creed and follow its ideals. The target then proceeds to attack Naoe, who very quickly shifts to the right, which is possibly an ability of some sort, and she uses her hidden blade to kill the man. What's noteworthy here is that the hidden blade has a new mechanic, where the blade can turn to the side and stab the target, which I absolutely love. In the end card, Ubisoft then confirms that Assassin's Creed Shadows is releasing 15 November this year, and pre-orders are available now. Now, Ubisoft also uploaded a second video today which goes into more detail about Naoe and Yasuke, but before we get to that, I'd like to break down all the game details and what additions are available. Assassin's Creed Shadows is coming November 15 on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, Ubisoft Plus, Amazon Luna, Macs with Apple Silicon, as well as Windows PCs through the Ubisoft Store and the Epic Games Store. You can also play 3 days early by pre-ordering any premium edition. In typical Ubisoft fashion, this pre-order will also grant you access to a bonus quest called Thrown to the Dogs, where you help a loyal dog avenge his late master. This quest is probably a reference to Hachiko, a well-known dog in Japan who was incredibly loyal to his owner, waiting over 9 years following his death. A statue of Hachiko stands in Shibuya to this day. In the game, we'll be able to explore the open world of feudal Japan, from castle towns to ports, shrines, and landscapes. What's awesome is that the weather and seasons actually change in the game, going from sunny to snowy, and the environments are stated to be reactive, which might be referring to how the environments are destructible, like we saw in the trailer. The world will also have 9 distinct regions, which we know thanks to the world map included with the Collector's Edition, but more on that in a second. Ubisoft also emphasizes that in Shadows, information is our weapon. Quote, "Travel the world, explore, and scout your surroundings to gather vital intel. Build your network of spies to be your eyes and ears across locations to unveil new areas and hunt down your next target. Along the way, recruit several allies with highly specialized skills and abilities to help accomplish your missions." So now let's talk more about Naoe and Yasuke and how they play as characters. As Naoe, we are going to be a shinobi assassin, and this is how Ubisoft describes her. Quote, "As the quick-witted and agile Naoe, use noise, light, and shadows to evade detection as enemies respond to their changing surroundings. Distract guards using kunai, shuriken, and smoke bombs. Infiltrate enemy bases with your grappling hook and parkour skills, and assassinate your targets with a hidden blade." And then with Yasuke, we become the legendary samurai. Quote, "As the charismatic samurai Yasuke, strike your foes with brutal precision and power. Use his combat-oriented skills to attack, block, parry, and defeat your enemies. Master the vast arsenal of weapons at your disposal, featuring katana, kanabo, bows, naginata, and more, to free Japan from its oppressors. So these character descriptions really give us a lot of info as to the weapons that each character is going to be able to use, and they do seem distinct to each of them. Furthermore, according to Ubisoft, we can play our way. You decide whether to play as a shinobi or samurai, master complementary playstyles of two fully realized protagonists, approach quests with whichever character you prefer, as each possesses their own respective progression, stats, skills, and gear. Then, speaking about the different editions of the game, Ubisoft put together this helpful chart to tell us what's available. For AC Shadows, there is the Standard, Gold, and Ultimate Edition. As mentioned, the Premium, Gold, and Ultimate Editions will give you 3 days early access and also the Season Pass, which includes 2 upcoming expansions and that extra dog mission at launch. However, if you do decide to shell out the money for the Ultimate Edition, you'll also get the Ultimate Pack, which gives you character and hideout packs, 5 skill points, and the Red Dragon filter. As a side note, this hideout pack is referring to the fact that Shadows will actually have a fully customizable player hideout system, which is awesome. Then there is the Collector's Edition. The CE comes with the Ultimate Edition, plus of course a bunch of physical items. The standout here is the dual Nai and Yas character statue, which stands at 40 centimeters tall. There is also a steel bookcase, an 84-page art book, a life-size version of Naoi's Katana Suba with a dedicated stand, a world map, a world scroll, and lithographs. And finally, let's take a look at the second video which Ubisoft uploaded today, titled Who Are Nai and Yasuke? In this video, game director Charles Benoit and associate narrative director Brooke Davies dive deep into who these characters are, how they differ from a gameplay and narrative perspective, and why they were the perfect fit for Assassin's Creed Shadows. In this video, they tell us why there are 2 protagonists in a samurai and a shinobi, because they want us to experience both. These are 2 different characters and playstyles which they couldn't just squeeze into the one character. Focusing on Yasuke first, they researched a lot and looked at the history of his real-life character. He arrived in Japan in 1579, right when the game starts, and he had relationships with people like Oda Nobunaga, the Portuguese, and Jesuits. They picked Yasuke because he has that inbuilt story of a foreigner discovering Japan, which would of course be quite fitting for many of us as foreigners and players also discovering Japan, possibly for the first time. Then we have Naoi. She comes from the province of Iga, as I mentioned, which is a remote mountainous area, fiercely independent, and known as the birthplace of shinobi. In the game, her father is Fujibayashi Nagato, who is in fact another historical figure, a legendary shinobi. Fujibayashi taught Naoi all the skills and values she has. In this video, they also expound upon the story we saw in the trailer. When the Oda came in, he completely destroyed the Iga, and yes, Yasuke was part of that battle to destroy those shinobi. So Yasuke and Naoi have this tension because of that. Then touching on the combat, as we expected, samurai will be combat heavy and shinobi will be stealth heavy. Yasuke is a big guy and clearly will be the stronger character, being able to fight multiple enemies at once and even break their armor. Whereas Naoi is about being stealthy, not being seen, and using weapons like the hidden blade. However, they do stress that each character can still do a bit of both. So I do wonder if the weapons are going to be interchangeable at some stage, even if it's just for part of a quest. The personalities of Naoi and Yasuke contrast too. Naoi is intense, passionate, determined, and wears her heart on her sleeve, whereas Yasuke is thoughtful, level-headed, intelligent, respectful, and mysterious. And that is everything we know about Assassin's Creed Shadows so far. From my perspective, I am incredibly excited about this game. Us fans have been waiting for an Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan for a very, very long time, and now our prayers are finally being answered. I always like how they interweave real-life historical figures, and being able to play as 2 characters with different playstyles is pretty sick too. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more Assassin's Creed Shadows content. We should see more gameplay at Ubisoft Forward on June 10, and I'll definitely be covering that. So until next time, this has been the Lone Vault Wanderer. Please take care of yourselves, and would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.